Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Benji-Sales live chat. It's so good to be back. It is so good to see everybody. How you doing today? Hope you're all doing amazing. Hope you're all doing great. What are this week's big topics that we can talk about? There's a couple. Hasn't been a crazy news week, to be honest with you. Hasn't been like nonstop blast news, but we did get a couple big topics that we can discuss today. First of all, of course, Sony has announced the new PlayStation Plus tiers, right? We've knew this was coming now for quite a while. It's been months now that we knew it was in the works. It was codenamed Spartacus while they were developing it. Turns out they didn't change the name at all, right? I think there was some wondering if they were going to actually change the name as well, like it was going to get a new branding, but it just stays PlayStation Plus. They've just added new tiers to it. So we can talk about that. What does it mean? There's a whole bunch of debate around if this is good, if it's worth the asking price, all of that kind of stuff. So we can go into that. I'm going to break down the tiers here for you in just a second. So we've got that big topic we can talk about. Another really big one actually happened, I think, on the same day. And that was that the Breath of the Wild sequel has been delayed to 2023. I don't think this is a big shock. It's Zelda. Zelda has a history with big delays, and particularly Breath of the Wild, the one before this, had extensive delays multiple times. So considering how little we've seen on that game, I don't think this comes as a big shocker at all. But we can talk about, what does it possibly mean for Nintendo? What does it mean for their software sales, hardware sales? What does it mean for the actual game itself? We can go into all of that, and of course, anything else that you want to talk about. So if this is your first time ever as part of the Benji-Sales live chat, the way it works, it's a stream. It's 100% driven by you, your comments, your questions. We basically just break down the biggest gaming news for the week. There's going to be two ways to do that. First of all, of course, there is the free method. You just type a question, whatever you want. It pops into chat, and I get to as many free questions as I possibly can. If you want to guarantee that I get to your question, the way to do that is going to be the super chat option. Type a donation, whatever you want, and I get to super chats immediately. Don't feel pressured or obligated to donate into chat or anything like that. Just a way to help support me and the channel. All right, so before I start diving in to your comments and questions, let me really quick just give you an overview. I'm sure you've all seen it by now, but it helps to give context to the stream about these new PlayStation Plus tiers. So first of all, there is the basic, right? It's just called PlayStation Plus Essential. This is essentially the same thing that PlayStation Plus has always been. Right? You're going to get the same benefits Plus had before, the downloadable games that you get every month, the online multiplayer play, the cloud storage, right? It's the same thing. So if you're already a Plus subscriber, this is what that is. Comes in at $9.99 a month, $24.99 quarterly, or $59.99 a year. So those prices are all the exact same as what Plus is right now. Now here's the new tiers. PlayStation Plus Extra provides all the benefits from the Essential tier and adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Essentially what this is, this tier right here, is mostly just combining some of what PlayStation Now is at right now, what it currently is, with PlayStation Plus, right? That's essentially what this is, minus, some of the retro stuff, which we're going to go to in the next tier, right? Because that's going to have some new stuff that PS Now does not necessarily have. But this tier is going to be $14.99 a month, $39.99 quarterly, or $99.99 yearly. Then the final one, this is what they're calling PlayStation Plus Premium. Gets all the benefits, of course, of the first two, and then you get up to 340 additional games. So this comes out to around 700 games, they're saying. You get PS3 games via streaming, so no downloading. You have to only stream PS3 games. A catalog of beloved classic games and streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PS2, and PS3. So essentially, if you go all the way up to this highest tier, you essentially have access to every generation of PlayStation minus the Vita, right? You're going to have PS4, PS5, PS1, 2, 3, and PSP games all available through this service. The key obvious exception being PS3 streaming only. All the other ones have download options, but PS3, you can only stream it. The other new things it's going to offer, time limited game trials. Now this is interesting. We don't know all the details about how these trials are going to work. They still haven't expanded on that. I'm sure we're going to find out more about that in the future. This is set to launch in June. So yeah, that's another big thing. You're going to get game trials. I'm imagining that's going to work kind of like what EA Play is, but we don't know that for sure yet. And the price for this, $17.99 monthly, $50 per quarter, or $120 per year. So that's like your basic breakdown about what the new PlayStation Plus is. Sure, there's going to be a whole bunch of questions about that. I'm going to start getting rocking on your questions, everybody. Make sure you start dropping those questions now. All right, let's get rocking. I think we had one super chat to kick us off. Let me hit that really quick. Plastic Hearts Podcast, kicking us off with a $4.99. Benji boy, could PS Plus use game trials, if lengthy enough and on every game, as a way to compete with day one first party that Microsoft has on Game Pass? Here's the thing. It's a potentially nice bonus, similar to what EA Play is, but I don't think that this makes the highest tier competitive directly with Game Pass, right? There's a whole bunch of discussion about this. Which one has more value? Which one is the better buy, right? There's going to be a whole bunch of drama around this. I don't think game trials alone is enough to compete with flat out, you get the entire game day one on Game Pass. So as of right now, this is completely personal. Everyone's going to feel different. I do believe Game Pass is still a better value overall than what these new PlayStation Plus tiers are doing. Now, there's a key difference here in that the strategy is just completely different, right? What Game Pass is trying to do and what these new PlayStation Plus tiers are trying to do, I think their goals are very, very different. Microsoft wants just about everybody on Game Pass, right? Like that is like their focus. If you are engaged in the Xbox ecosystem, they want you on Game Pass and they want you, like that's like their main driver right now of their business. These new PlayStation Plus tiers, I made a tweet about it on Twitter, and I didn't mean this in like any way insulting Sony. I was saying this to me looks more like a way of boosting the average subscription price people are paying right now, and not necessarily designed to drive a ton of brand new subscribers, right? Do I think these new tiers are going to get a ton of people that aren't subscribed to Plus right now, right? Because that's the key thing to remember. I'm seeing some people be like, well, it's definitely going to give a boost off of PS Now because that's only 3 million subs. And I completely agree. But all that's going to be doing is driving up regular PlayStation Plus subscribers, right? They're not two separate services anymore. It's one combined service. So I don't see a lot here that's going to make someone that's never subscribed to PlayStation Plus. You've owned a PlayStation, you play your PlayStation, you've never subscribed to Plus, or you're not currently subscribed, and now all of a sudden you're going to rush out and subscribe to this. To me, there's not a ton here to drive that sort of thing. But I could see a lot of people that weren't subscribed to PS Now, maybe were subscribed to Plus, and with it just being this easy one service thing and you're not signing up for another thing, you're really just going to boost the price that you pay right now. I could see actually quite a few people doing that. I don't think it's going to be every PlayStation Plus subscriber, but I think you're going to get a pretty big chunk, right? A decent amount of people that decide to do that. So overall, that'll drive more revenue. So to me, this looks more like a play to not get, we're going to get tens and tens of millions of new subscribers with this, but more, hey, we're going to get, potentially tens and tens and tens of millions of more dollars because we have more people engaging with Plus, than they were before, like in terms of pricing. So I think that the Game Pass strategy and this strategy are just slightly different things, whereas Microsoft's trying to drive brand new subscribers. They want people just subscribing to Game Pass, right? They want that thing to hit 50, 100 million subscribers eventually. Of course, Sony wants PlayStation Plus there too, but they're not being as aggressive as Microsoft is to get there. So I don't think it actually really, the trials specifically compete with a full game on day one. We need to see a lot more. How long are these trials? Are they like 2 or 3 hours, or is this like 10 hours? That's all going to be very interesting to see. I think it potentially helps make upgrading your PS Plus, more attractive, but I don't think trials alone is suddenly going to make people subscribe to the service. So thank you for that super chat, Plastic Hearts. I think we have a couple more super chats. Yes, we do. Thank you so much. We got Benji here with a 10. Thank you so much, Benji. Great to see you, man. Hi, Benji. On 2 occasions with Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, Nintendo postponed the game to the following year. Those moves coincide with new hardware. Are we witnessing the third time? It's a great freaking question. It's one I've wondered myself. It's so hard to say. Here's the deal. New Switch is coming either 2023 or 2024. This seems very obvious. I cannot see it coming later than 2024. I previously was full on Team 2023 until I saw how stacked the 2022 lineup is, right? So that last Nintendo Direct actually changed my mind quite a bit on if Switch is coming 2023 or 2024. Before I was full on, I'm Team 2023. That's when Switch 2 is getting here. But their lineup is so heavy for 2022 that it feels like they don't necessarily have to rush out a Switch successor next year, right? They still have so much software in the pipeline, like so much going on Switch 1, that it really made me second guess it. It made me be like, maybe this thing is 2024. Here's the thing, it ain't later than that. It's 2023 or it's 2024. Now, is the Breath of the Wild delay specifically signaling, hey, this is when Switch 2 is coming? Oh, man, I've gone back and forth on this. If I had to bet, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say probably not still. I'm still going to go to probably, if Switch is 2023, it's probably holidays 2023, or if it's 2024, obviously it wouldn't be that year anyways. So I'm not going to rule it out, Benji. There has been lots of rumors for a while, including from very credible sources, not like what we've seen, what just happened with PlayStation this week, which I'm sure people are going to ask about. There's been a lot of rumors for a while that there's some sort of dev kit in developers' hands for a new Switch. That is like just about confirmed. In fact, even Digital Foundry, who Digital Foundry is about as connected to the development scene as you can get, have commented, they haven't gone into details, but they've even said there is a Switch something out there that devs have. There's some sort of dev kit. So it's not impossible. Is there a new Switch in 2023 and Breath of the Wild sequel is going to be a cross-gen launch game on it? I'm not going to say that's a 0% chance, but right now, just if I had to bet money, I'm still leaning towards Switch 2 being holiday 2023 or early 2024, but you never know. You never know. It's really hard to say for sure, to be honest. Switch sales are declining. They're not declining in a massive way. It's still going to do huge amounts of hardware this year, right? Huge amounts this year, but it is past its peak. Like Switch is, on that slow decline. So Nintendo potentially could want to lift overall hardware sales, by putting a new console in people's hands next year. It's possible, but it's hard to say for sure. I don't think Breath of the Wild by itself getting delayed, the sequel, is like a surefire sign. But it's something worth considering. All right, thank you so much, Benji. And I've gone back and forth on that, to be honest. There was a moment where I thought, oh, this is going to be, but it's hard to say. Timmer with a 2 super chat. Thank you so much, Timmer. No question today. Just wanted to show my support. Well, thank you so much, Timmer. Thanks for being in every single chat. And you keep doing your awesome work on Twitter as well, Timmer. All right, super chats are cleared. Thank you so much, guys. Let's get to your free questions. Eddie Brock. Benji boy, don't you think it's a bad business model to lock the ability to play PS1, 2, and 3 titles behind the most expensive PS Plus sub? This is interesting because I do have some comments on this. I mean, what if people want to play legacy titles and don't want PS Plus? Or what if there's people who want to play those legacy titles but can't afford the most expensive PS Plus model? Why completely remove the option to play those games without PS Plus subscription? It's a great question, Eddie Brock. Here's one thing that I immediately think when I look at these tiers. I am pretty darn confident the highest tier will be by far the least subscribed to tier. If I'm being honest, just reading the details, that seems like the one that is the least attractive to me. I think that there is going to be some people that subscribe to it, right? Some people that want access to these retro games, but the main selling point for your most expensive tier being retro games, I'll be honest, there are people that care about going back and playing PS1 and PS2 games, but that's a much smaller amount of people than those that want to play current PS5 and PS4 games. That's just the reality. So I actually think you're going to see a lot of people go to that medium tier, right? That one that is, what are they calling that one? Is it like Deluxe? Is that what it was? PlayStation Plus Extra. I think you're going to see a lot of people go to that, but that highest tier, the main selling point, because it is the main selling point. There's the trials there, but that seems more like an added thing. The main selling point is you get these retro games. I think that's not that big of an amount of people that are going to pay that much money, right? I think it's what, $120 a year? Is that what we said? $120 a year. That's going to be the least attractive one. I can almost guarantee that will be by far the least subscribed to of the three tiers. So is it a smart move or a bad move? I think if they really wanted to get $120 a year out of people, they should have added something else to these to make them even more attractive. Here's the thing again, we need to be careful. We don't know all the details, but if this is strictly just retro games, it's going to be a hard sell. Now, if it added trophy support, you're going to get some people attracted to it for that. Wait, I can go back and I can play these really old games and I can get trophies for them. You'll get some people excited about that. There are a lot of trophy hunters. If it was something like, hey, the resolutions are being increased or frame rates are going to be increased like we've seen on the Xbox side for their backwards compatibility, that makes those more attractive. So there is still a few things, Eddie, that we need to see because it's not all the details. If they are enhanced in some way, that helps. But if it's strictly like it reads, hey, you're paying all this money to essentially access retro games, I don't think that tier is going to be that successful, to be honest with you. I don't think a whole lot of people are going to subscribe to that. So thank you so much, Eddie. Joe808. Hi, Benji. How do you feel about CD Projekt Red dropping their Red engine for Unreal Engine 5? And would you be concerned if more AAA studios drop their engines for Unreal Engine 5? Would it make games feel more similar? So this is one area where me and Digital Foundry radically disagree. On. And I love Digital Foundry, by the way. They are literally, like, their podcast is basically it's in my top favorite gaming podcast they release every week. I am 1,000,000% in favor of dropping Red Engine for Unreal Engine 5. I could not be more in favor of this. Listen, Red Engine's cool. I love CD Projekt's games. Well, Witcher 2 and 3. I still haven't even played Cyberpunk, even though I've owned it since launch day. But the reality is, it's very clear that Red Engine has been giving them some issues, really even since Witcher 3. A lot of people forget about that. Witcher 3, when it came out, it was notoriously downgraded over what they originally showed, and it also did have some performance issues at launch, which did get, pretty fixed. Then we saw with Cyberpunk, again, tons of issues, as we all know, at launch, and some debate about it being downgraded compared to, previous reveals as well. Clearly, Red Engine, there's been some issues with it, right? Switching to Unreal Engine 5 makes the main, a lot of the work that goes into just creating the engine itself, takes it out of their hands and puts it in Epic Engineers' hands. So that's one advantage. Second advantage is it makes it way, way, way easier to hire people because Unreal Engine is something that, to be honest with you, a vast bulk of developers in the industry at least have some familiarity or experience in. It's pretty rare that you're someone in the industry that has zero experience on Unreal Engine. Pretty rare. Might not be the engine you work with all the time, but most people at least have some familiarity with Unreal Engine. So if you're hiring people, don't get a whole lot easier than that, right? It's just about the most ubiquitous engine in the entire industry. So it helps with hiring. It takes a lot of the work out of their hands. They can make their own tweaks to Unreal Engine, as many devs have in the past. And as I've said, there is a history of Red Engine giving CD Projekt Red issues. So I know Digital Foundry's worried about it in terms of like games are going to feel so familiar and so many games are going to feel alike. Here's the reality that we all need to consider. The average gamer has no idea what Unreal Engine is. Like, that's the reality. The average regular casual gamer, right? A lot of people forget, and I'm constantly reminded about it because I work in gaming retail. The average gamer is, even to this day, very different than people that are online. Now, if it's something that, you know, if you're a hardcore gamer and you play a lot of games a year, will you maybe notice some familiarity between Unreal Engine games? It's entirely possible that you'll start to notice that, right? But your average gamer that plays a couple games a year, that likes a big RPG, do I think that they're going to play Witcher 4 and immediately think, oh my God, look at that dithering. That means it's an Unreal Engine game. No. In fact, I think the amount of people that would notice that would be less than 1% of players. So it's a very small amount of people that are so technically minded that they can immediately point out things and just know it's an Unreal Engine game. There are some, right? And especially among us hardcores. But most people have no idea what engine the games they're playing on is, other than like a splash screen at the beginning of the game. So I think this is probably actually the right move for CD Projekt Red. I get some people that are worried that, you know, like us hardcores, that some games might feel familiar based off the tools they're built on. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, weighing the pros and cons, no, I think this is by far the correct choice. And there's a reason you're seeing so many developers switch to Unreal Engine. Even PlayStation first-party studios, not all of them, but there are some studios that are building Unreal Engine 5 games right now at PlayStation and, as we know, at Xbox. So there's just a lot of advantages you get using an engine like that. But, I mean, like I said, I get why the really technical-minded people would worry. Split End 89, best mod in the business. Is it true that Sony is acquiring PlayStation? Split End 89, I can officially confirm the leaks. They are. Sony is buying PlayStation. Run to Twitter now and spread the word. All right. Miles Morales. Hello there, Benji. Square Enix is in a tough spot. Their games keep missing sales expectations. Do you think it is possible that they're positioning themselves for an acquisition? Are they in trouble? I've said it a lot. I think Square Enix is potentially going to get acquired. Maybe. You know, just when you're looking at the market consolidation right now, do I think it's a sure thing? No. If I had to bet on it, they said put cash on the table. Are you betting that they get acquired? I would still lean towards no. But as I've said, Miles, on this chat many, many times with the acquisition talk, the two publishers right now that to me seem the most likely to be acquired are Ubisoft and Square Enix. Those to me are the two that stand out the most. Their market caps are not super high, especially considering the IP they own and the amount of developers and stuff they own. They just seem to be the two. If a publisher was to get announced, right? Someone said, we're not going to tell you who, but a publisher, they're going to announce it tomorrow, they're getting acquired. My bet would be to be either Ubisoft or Square Enix. I don't know if they will be. Like I said, who friggin' knows? But those are the two that stand out to me, Miles. Yeah, Square Enix and Ubisoft. Can be. Benji Boy. To me, the biggest advantage of the new PS Plus is the annual rate of $99/$119. Any chance Microsoft adopts this for Game Pass? Ken, we just found out right before we went on this chat. It's a little different, but it's one thing that's been needed for a while, and I'm very glad to see Microsoft is doing. They are well, it's not announced, but Jez and Windows Central just came out with an article reporting on this, and Jez is extremely reliable when it comes to Xbox. They are going to have a family plan. So this was much needed. I know it's not the exact same thing that you're talking about, Ken B, but that is one thing that I'm very glad to see that Microsoft is doing is a family plan. This is very important for subscription services. You see most of the big players in subscription services offer a family plan. So very smart, very good move by them. Now, will they just do an annual discount rate like that's just built in like PlayStation Plus has? I'm going to lean towards no. I don't think they're going to do that. And in fact, if anything, I think that Game Pass is eventually going up in price, right? We've talked about this before. I don't think they're there yet. They can't really afford to do it yet. Last we heard, they're at 25 million subscribers. They need to be a lot higher than that, in my opinion, before they raise the price tag. Right now, they're still in that user acquisition phase, right? That you see with a lot of subscription services. Look at Netflix. They keep inching that subscription price up. They waited to do that because they wanted to make sure they got a ton of subscribers in the door first, and then they slowly raised that. You're going to see the same thing with Disney Plus. They haven't done it yet, but they've made comments that eventually that there will be a price increase on Disney Plus. Same thing for Game Pass. So do I see them getting a discount? No. If anything, I see the price going up. But like I said, I don't think they'll do that yet. I can't see them raising the Game Pass subscription price until they're over 50 million subscribers. They really need to get there first, in my opinion, but we'll see, right? They know a lot more about the economics than I do, but I think they need to at least get to 50 million or close before they start raising that price. Joseki. Yo, Benji, what's up? Have you seen the Spanish year-to-dates? Xbox Series is at 15,000, PS5 11,000. Sony is getting outproduced by Microsoft quite sensibly for this to be the gap in mainland Europe. And what do you think about the $120 tier specifically of the new PSN? We talked about this. Seems to me it's the mid tier is the best value. I agree with you completely, Joseki. I agree. Considering PS3 is being streamed. Overall, it seems to me like it's half a Game Pass and half a Nintendo Switch Online. I think the aim is to increase revenue. I completely agree. From existing members more than expanding sub count. Yeah, we completely agree, Joseki. Great minds think alike, I'll say, right? I don't know if I'm a great mind, but I'm sure you are, Joseki. So we completely agree. I am spot on with you in terms of the highest tier, feels like the least valuable compared to the mid tier. We're completely in agreement on that. And we are in agreement that it seems like this is more of a way to just drive more revenue than necessarily new subs. So Joseki, we're on the completely same page here. Now, in terms of the production, yeah, it's looking very, 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 and let me keep going, very, very likely that Microsoft outshipped PlayStation 5 for the first 3 months of 2022. Extremely likely. And whenever I'm saying that, I'm talking globally. Yes, you heard me correct. It is looking extremely likely that worldwide more Xbox Series consoles were produced and sold than PlayStation 5s this quarter. Seems very extremely likely from all of the data that we have seen. Year to date, Xbox is ahead of PlayStation in the US, which is a flip from what we have seen traditionally in the past, right? Xbox has outsold PlayStation 5. Let me think. Is that 4 out of the last 5 months? November, December, February. It will be when March comes out. I'm like 99% sure Xbox Series outsold PlayStation in March. So we'll see in NPD, but it's looking very likely. So that would be 4 out of the last 5 months Xbox Series outselling PlayStation in the US. We found out that last month Xbox Series outsold PlayStation in Europe. And again, if Europe this month is looking like what we're seeing in markets like Spain, as well as what we are seeing in last month where Xbox outsold PlayStation in Europe, it looks like it might happen again. So if Xbox outsells PlayStation 5, and this is an if, we need to see the data first, but it's coming soon. If Xbox Series outsold PlayStation 5 for 2 months out of 3 in Europe, and, that would have been 2 out of 3 months in the US and 4 out of the last 5, it's looking extremely likely like Xbox Series is actually going to be ahead worldwide for this year so far than PlayStation is. Switch above both, obviously, but in terms of the new consoles, looking very likely worldwide Xbox is outselling PlayStation 5. Now, to be very clear, as we know, and as Joseki points out here, he's saying outproduced, which is a great and important metric because PlayStation 5 is facing incredible shortages, while Microsoft somehow, and we need to see how they've done this, but it appears that in March, Series X production has been gigantic. I mean, the data that's starting to come out, it looks like Series X in the West is huge for production. So I don't know how they were able to secure this many chips. If they paid just an insane premium to get these things made and they were able to outbid Sony, that is a potential possibility. We need to see how this happened. But Series X in particular in March seems to have exploded from what it has been traditionally. What's really been carrying Xbox Series this year and through last holidays through this year has been Series S, right? We've talked about that a bunch. Series S now has essentially, I don't think it's like a 1 million%, but it's essentially met demand. Like Series S, most of the time now in most markets, you can find a Series S pretty quickly, right? That could be in store, that could be online, but Series S has kind of met demand. That doesn't mean they're not selling it all. It just means that they're not constantly sold out, right? You have a pretty good chance of getting a hold of a Series S. Series X has been the opposite. It's been like the PlayStation 5, where the thing is just freaking gone. You can't get a hold of one. And yet somehow in March it has exploded. Like Series X has exploded. So yeah, it's really interesting, Joseki. Obviously, I don't think that Xbox Series is going to outsell PlayStation 5 worldwide for this entire year. But for the first quarter, it looks very likely. Yes, it looks very likely that for the first quarter, Xbox Series worldwide outsold PlayStation. It's not a lock, but it looks very likely with the data we have. Okay, I think we had a super chat. Let me see. We did. We have a super chat. What is up? Jeremy G here with a 5. You think Switch Sports explodes like Wii Sports? $50 for a Waggle game. Is the Wii Sports nostalgia really that warranted? Jeremy G, I don't think that it is going to hit Wii Sports levels like the original. Keep in mind, that thing was obviously like super beloved, but also it was also super bundled, right? Most Wiis came with Wii Sports. Not all of them, but like I think just about in the US particularly, like pretty much every Wii had Wii Sports with it. So do I think it's going to be like the craze that the original Wii Sports was? No. I had said on this chat before, Jeremy, my like thing I'm eyeballing is can this match Wii Sports Resort, which was over 30 million. That to me is like the bar. I'm not saying it's a lock to hit 30 million. I'm saying that's like the thing I'm watching. Like my data point, the thing I'm looking in my head, can this hit Wii Sports Resort level? Which, it's a little over 30 million. I think it was like 32 or 33 million, something like that off the top of my head. So, do I think it's going to be the crazy thing that the original Wii Sports was, where you were seeing it in like every nursing home just about, and it was just like everywhere. Everyone's grandma was playing Wii Sports, everyone's kids was playing Wii Sports, and they themselves were playing Wii Sports, right? Everyone was playing Wii Sports there for a while. I don't think it's going to be that high, but I don't think it's impossible it can hit Wii Sports Resort numbers. We need to see, but I think around that 30 million range is possible, especially looking at where Ring Fit hit, which we talked about last week. Ring Fit was what, at 17 million? Is that what we're talking about? Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 17 million. Let me see. Lower than I thought. It's actually, sorry. Yeah, no, it's 11. For some reason, I thought it was higher. But still, no, that's from August. Yeah, no, it's higher. Anyways, I don't have time to look at it. But it's not as high as I thought. I thought it was 17. But either way, it's high, right? That thing was expensive, A. Isn't Ring Fit, whenever it launched, 80? What's the price on or Switch Sports? What's the Switch Sports price? Let's check this, because pricing is also an important thing. Pricing is also very important on this, but I'm pretty sure it's cheaper. Pretty sure it's cheaper than Ring Fit. Yeah, it's $50. $50. That's great. $39.99 on Amazon, even on some places, and $49.99. Yeah, that's great, because Ring Fit was $80. I want to say Ring Fit was $79.99 whenever it came out. Yep, $79.99. So you're looking at $30 cheaper than Ring Fit. Ring Fit was able to get over 10 million. Yeah, I don't think 30 million's a lock, but I think over 20 million's a lock. That's what I'll say. Over 20 million, I think, is for sure going to happen. 30 million, tough, but not impossible. Okay. So that super chat is cleared. And that means all super chats are cleared for now. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, back to your free questions. Casual Gamer, Benji, I have to correct you. Traveler's Tales Games is Traveler's Tales, not Telltale. Yeah. So I actually corrected myself last chat. Someone mentioned to me. I always do this, Casual Gamer. So you may have missed this. We did address this in the last chat. I have always done this. Every time I see TT, I know that it's not Telltale, but my brain just says Telltale Games when talking about Lego. It's just something that I've always done it. But yes, I know. It's Traveler's Tales. And Rumors say the Lego company will partner with 2K, and people are worried Traveler's Tales games might lose the license. Do you think it's possible that Traveler's Tales games will lose the Lego license due to low sales? Or do you think Lego Skywalker does well, they will continue to have the license alongside 2K? Them losing the license would be weird to me because I don't know that any other developer wants to make Lego games. So if Lego wants games to be made, I feel like they have to stay partnered with them. What studio out there do you think wants to make Lego games? I can't really think of any, to be honest with you. So I think if the Lego brand wants to continue to have games, not mobile games, right? We're talking like these actual console games that we see. If they want this to be a thing that still exists, I don't know that there's any studios out there that are dying to make a Lego game. Maybe like as a one-off, but to make like, repeated Lego games, I don't really see anybody out there that wants to do that. So if they want this to be a continuous thing, like it's been for years and years, where there's, new Lego games that, quite often, I don't know. I would think they would want to continue that partnership because I just don't know who else in the industry really is dying to make a Lego game. So that I don't know. I talked last week about the reasons why I feel like Lego game sales are decreasing. And it's because they're just reusing the same IP over and over and over and over and over again. And there's only so many ways you can remix that, while still having it be Lego. Like, there's only so many things you can do when you're making like 10 Star Wars Lego games, right? I know there's probably not actually 10, but there's a lot. There's only so many remixes of Lego specifically you can do whenever you're making repeated Marvel games. Like, they need to do something brand new. They need to do a whole license there's never been a Lego game on if they want to boost those sales. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. Joseki is asking about if I think that the Zelda delay means Switch. We went over that. And Joseki says, my conspiracy theory is actually that the delay has more to do with Nintendo not wanting to cannibalize the rest of their holiday lineup. Xeno 3 in September, Pokemon November, Bayo 3 is plenty. Yeah, I don't know if specifically the delay is just to not cannibalize those sales. Could be part of it, Joseki, absolutely. But I think the main thing is Nintendo probably looked at their calendar, and this plays into what you're saying too, and they were like, we probably should push this game a few more months. And if we do push it, like, we already have so much this year. Like, Switch's lineup this year is ridiculous, even with that delayed. We have the games you mentioned, Xenoblade 3, a brand new Pokemon generation, Bayonetta 3. Plus, throughout the year, we have tons more games, right? Kirby just came out. Mario Strikers is on the way. Switch Sports is on the way. There's more. There's the Fire Emblem Warriors game. Like, they have so many games this year. I made a tweet about it. I was like, pushing Zelda doesn't really hurt them that much, to be honest, just because they have so many games anyways. Obviously, would it be nice to have Zelda this year because they'd sell a bajillion copies of it? Yes, but it don't really affect that much. They have so many games this year anyways. They're fine. All right. Jason Benjamin. Benji, when do you think companies will stop chasing the trends of live service titles and Battle Royale and proceed to make great games instead? Never, Jason. I think that will always be a big focus of the industry. Because here's the thing. We've talked about before. Single-player games can be successful. They can make money. But there's also a misconception that good single-player games automatically make more money than live service games. That's absolutely not true. Like I mentioned last week, I think the best strategy of any publisher is a balance of both. You got to have live service games nowadays. To be honest with you, it's a huge mistake if you're any publisher and you're not trying to push any live service games. You're literally throwing money away not doing it. Even Nintendo is slowly starting to do some of this stuff, like what we're seeing with Splatoon, with an online multiplayer game where they're going to release, expansions and stuff for it. And like we've seen expansions and, passes for games, in some of the past. And I almost guarantee you Metroid Prime 4 is probably going to have some sort of multiplayer component. It's just, here's the thing. Should you be all in on that? Like, that's all you do as a publisher? No, that would be a giant mistake. In fact, I think that's one of the issues that's facing Ubisoft, right? We've talked about how Ubisoft's having all these issues. I think part of it is because they're so down that rabbit hole. Like, Ubisoft is just free-to-play service everything now, right? Like, they have like 5 or 6 free-to-play service games in the works right now. I think that's too much, right? They're too far on one end of things. So the right thing is a right balance. You need some of both. But like, do I think that they'll stop chasing live service titles? No. And in fact, if I was to advise any publishers, which I don't, but if someone asked my opinion, I'd say, no, you need to have service games. You definitely need to have some. They make billions of dollars. So it's all about Jason, the right balance. Right balance. Need single player, need multiplayer. Batman Forever. Could Sony bend the knee in 4 to 5 years from now and start releasing day-and-date games on PS Plus Premium? Batman Forever, abso-freaking-lutely. This is something that everyone's missing in the comments from Jim Ryan. He absolutely does not say that they will never release games day one on the service. It's being reported from a lot of people he says that. To be clear, Jim Ryan never makes that statement. He says a lot of reasons why they're not doing it right now. He gives a lot of reasons. You can choose to believe his reasoning or not, but he talks about how they couldn't give the same amount of funding for their games, the same amount of investment if they did it, all of that sort of stuff. But he also adds, he literally says, but the industry changes very rapidly and, who knows what the future holds. Jim Ryan essentially gives Sony an out, and I'm not saying he's doing this in a bad way. It's very smart to do this. He gives Sony basically an out that one day maybe it happens. Maybe one day it makes sense for them. He basically gives an argument about why they're not doing it right now, which I totally understand. I was having a talk with somebody and I said, there's a lot of people angry that there's not PlayStation games day one on the service. But to me, it's not a big deal. I understand. They're selling tons and tons of games at full price. They don't necessarily have the need, right, to put these games on a service and grow a subscription. Whereas Microsoft, there's one really key difference that a lot of people forget why Microsoft and Xbox is able to do the things that they're doing right now. And it's because Xbox is Microsoft and they have an absolute mountain of cash. PlayStation's not broke, right? You see a lot of people say, oh, PlayStation, Sony, they're a broke company. Not true at all. They're very profitable. They have tons and tons of cash. But they don't have Microsoft cash. So when Jim Ryan says, and I'm seeing some people be like, oh, well, if Xbox can do it, why can't Sony? Well, they have the entire power of Microsoft behind them, whereas Sony, they have a lot of money, but I do believe Jim's probably right that right now they're not necessarily in a financial position that they could just put these games day one on the service. For them, it's very important for these PlayStation first-party games to be extremely profitable. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure Xbox wants every game they release to be super profitable and sell a ton of copies, but they also have the gigantic bankroll of $1 trillion company behind them where they can be a little bit riskier on some of the choices that they're making right now. So, to be clear, it could happen one day. And Jim Ryan doesn't say it's never going to happen, but he says it's not happening right now. I don't think that they're going to do that for a while. I've been saying that for a long time. People have been asking me on this chat, and I've said, I just don't see Sony doing it, not anytime soon, when they're selling 20 million units of games, right? It's hard for me to see them doing that anytime soon. So in 4 to 5 years, might they? Possible, but I wouldn't expect it, in the next 2 or 3 years. That's still a while off if it does happen. All right, Yoda Soda. Benji Muscle, hope you're doing well. Keep gaining those fancy muscles. Thank you so much, Yoda Soda. I'm making crazy progress. I don't even know how. I'm gaining so easy this time. It's crazy. So easy. I had a great... No, not great-grandpa. I had a great... what would that be called? My grandpa's brother? Is that a great uncle? He was a professional bodybuilder. So I guess that I have some genetics in me to gain muscle easy. I don't know. I'm gaining so easy right now, though. It's ridiculous. It's just flying on. To be clear, I'm not some giant bodybuilder, but you can just go back a few months and look at some of my chats and pictures. I was so skinny. Muscle is just flying on my frame right now. It's crazy. I can't even believe it. So my question for you today is this. Do you think fans have the power to bring back dead games via remasters/remake? Do companies actually listen to fans' petition and fans' demands regarding bringing back dormant franchises? Yeah, absolutely. There is some ability here, Yoda Soda. It's not one of those things that if people ask for it, it's guaranteed. But here's the reality. if people constantly make their voices heard for long, I would say particularly for long periods of time, it does give publishers more of a reason to explore it. Part of the reason I think you're seeing Skate come back, part of the reason I think you're seeing this Dead Space remake, part of the reason I think you're seeing Ubisoft do a Splinter Cell game, is because they've seen that for years and years. People were saying, give us more Skate. For years and years, people were saying, give us more Dead Space. Give us, more Splinter Cell. So I think it does give them, put it this way, if no one's talking about an IP, they don't have a whole lot of reason to re-explore it. But if you're constantly talking about it for years on end, absolutely, Yoda Soda, it gives them a reason to keep it in mind. So it's not a lock. Every game we beg for isn't guaranteed to come back, but a fan base constantly keeping it in the publisher's mind, yeah, that's definitely important. Absolutely, for sure. Tim W. Sup, Benji? What are your most anticipated games for the rest of the year? Oh, great question, Tim W. So much. So I'm one of those people that plays like just about every genre. So a lot and just about every platform. But a few that stick out to me, absolutely. Starfield. Cannot wait for Starfield. I'm super huge into space and astronomy and sciences. I listen to tons and tons of podcasts on this stuff. A few I will shout out if you ever want to listen to any science, astronomy type stuff. Event Horizon is a great one on YouTube and I believe on Spotify. I listen to these on YouTube, but there are other places as well. Event Horizon is a great one. Very, very good. The host of Event Horizon also has his own YouTube channel, Jean-Michel Gaudier. His YouTube channel is great. I listen to Isaac Arthur. His channel is called it's Futurism and something with Isaac Arthur. What is his name of his YouTube channel? Let me check. Oh, it's just Isaac Arthur. So just Isaac Arthur on YouTube. He's great. He does a whole bunch of dives into the science behind sci-fi. And he's a futurism guy, so he talks about a lot of stuff about expanding out into space and things like that. So those are a few I would shout out. So Starfield's going to be up there for me because I'm super passionate, love this stuff, love RPGs. So Starfield, very, very high. Obviously, God of War Ragnarok is going to be way up there. I adored God of War 2018. So God of War Ragnarok is going to be in there. I personally, and I know the game has a lot of controversy, very excited for Hogwarts Legacy. That's going to be very high up there for me. That might be my top 3 for the rest of the year as of now. Starfield, Ragnarok, and Hogwarts Legacy probably are my top 3, but there's more. I can't wait for come on, what was the name of the game? A Plague Tale Requiem. A Plague Tale Innocence is incredible. Can't wait for A Plague Tale Requiem. Super excited for Fire Emblem Warriors. I know a lot of people aren't, but I loved Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's still to this day my favorite Switch game. So getting more in that universe makes me very excited. And Pokemon, I mean, there's a lot. Tim W, I'm one of those people that plays everything. So I'm excited for a lot. But my top 3 are probably Starfield, God of War Ragnarok, and Hogwarts Legacy, probably. Let me see. Was there a super chat? There is. There's a couple super chats. Couple super chats I missed. Let's hit those really quick. How long have I been going? We still got some time. All right, Benji with a 5. Thank you, Benji. It's your second one. Benji, it seems EA will part way with FIFA, and the FIFA game won't have the FIFA title anymore. Yeah, this is interesting. Will EA Sports FC resonate with casuals? Benji, what a great question, and something I am hardcore wondering myself. Man, I will not be surprised if the first year or 2 of this, they take a sales hit. Will not shock me at all. Strictly because the brand FIFA has become so known. It's impossible to say if this was the right call or not long term, right? We need to see. Maybe the EA Sports FC, whatever, dips for a year or 2, and then as people figure out, hey, this is the same FIFA game, it just has a different license, maybe it still shoots, maybe comes right back to where it was. That's entirely possible. But Benji, if I had to bet, like if someone says bet money on it, I could see them taking a hit for a couple years while people figure out, wait, this is the FIFA game? This is the EA FIFA? So I expect that EA will be very aggressive in marketing this, even more than normal, to try to get people to know what it is. Won't be shocked at all if they say stuff like the same soccer or football, wherever you live in the world, game you've always loved, just with a new name. I'm sure they're going to have tons of marketing like that. So it'll be interesting to see. Benji, I would say long term, it's too early to know. But in the short term, I could see them taking a bit of a sales hit just with confusion from people that don't follow this stuff. So it's possible, Benji, yeah. Joseki here with a 2. We begged for Xenogears forever, but Square Enix sucks. I feel for you, Xenogears fan. Yeah, like I said, it's not, it ain't a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, but I would say that if you really do want to see an IP come back, it is definitely worth always bringing that up, because I do believe that played a big part in Skate, Dead Space, and what was the other one I said earlier? My brain's farting. And Splinter Cell. Those 3 particularly, I think the fan demand played a big part in that happening. So it wasn't the only part, but a big part. So sorry, sucks for Xenogears fans. They're not gonna all come back, but. Yeah, let those publishers know if there's more IP you want to see come back. Venom Harness. Do you think there's 99% chance that we're getting Horizon 3, Spider-Man 3? Also, do you think it's possible that Insomniac will make more spin-off Spider-Man games like Venom and Spider-Gwen? Great questions, Venom. So, will we be getting Horizon 3? Yes. No spoilers here. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that hasn't beat it, but the sequel to Forbidden West is like fully set up. Not kind of, like the game ends and there's clearly going to be a Horizon 3. So, again, don't worry. I ain't going to give you a single detail about it for those of you that haven't beat it. That's not a spoiler saying, hey, who would have guessed the game sets a sequel up? But you're going to get Horizon 3. The end of Forbidden West makes that very clear, that Horizon 3 is coming. Now, one thing I'm interested to see is if Forbidden West sells stronger long-term than it seems to have out the gate. Here's the thing. Has Horizon Forbidden West sold well? Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, but it does appear that it isn't like near a record holder for Sony. I think there's a couple reasons for that, some of which I underestimated because I thought this game would launch bigger than it did. I think some of us underestimated how much PlayStation 5 shortages would impact the game. I'll be honest, I just totally overlooked that. I just thought the cross-gen nature of it would help and that there was enough PlayStation 5 owners, but, you know, it's still selling well. It just doesn't appear it was near a record holder. It doesn't look like it got into that 3 million in 3 days club, or else I think Sony would have shouted it from the rooftops, and they still haven't given us a sales update. So I think Horizon Forbidden West in the long run is going to sell plenty fine, but to me, what I'll say, Venom Harness, Horizon 3 is absolutely happening, but if Horizon 3 also settles kind of like what we're seeing at least early on with Forbidden West, like the franchise isn't like drastically growing, right? If it's kind of just staying steady, Horizon 3 might be the last one. And that's not a lock. There might be Horizon 4, 5, and 6. To be clear, I'm not trying to paint Horizon as a bomb because it's not at all. It's just if the franchise isn't seeing like huge growth, they may not continue it past a third game. We will have to see, but you're at the very least definitely getting Horizon 3. Spider-Man 3, I'm already telling you Spider-Man 2 is not even out. Spider-Man 3 is a lock. They're going to make Spider-Man games as long as they can because Spider-Man's Spider-Man. Will they make spin-off games? I think it makes a lot of sense. Look at the sales Miles Morales has had. Fantastic. We found out just a few months ago that Miles Morales is now the 3rd best-selling PlayStation exclusive ever in the US by revenue. That's incredible. That's incredible. Think about how many games PlayStation's released. Miles Morales is number 3, only behind God of War and Spider-Man 2018 in the United States. That's unbelievable. And that's not as a full-fledged sequel. Miles Morales was a spin-off. So I think Sony and Insomniac will very much want to make some of these spin-off games as well that are a little smaller. They can get them out between the big sequels. Yeah, I definitely think you will, Venom. Yeah. Spider-Gwen would be amazing. That would be such a good choice. And Venom too, right? Either one of those would be awesome. I think we had a super chat, since it seems like Miles is now part of the full game, right? You know, so I don't think we'll get Miles Morales 2 because he's such a big part, it looks like, of Spider-Man 2. So he'll probably do other characters. Let me see. Super chat. Yep. Matt Duffy. What is up, Matt Duffy? What a 5 super chat. Thank you so much, Matt. Good to see you. Benji, you are undefeated, undisputed GOAT of video game industry analysts. You will secure a job in the industry. Let's go, my man. Do not give up. God bless. What a freaking sweet, awesome super chat, Matt Duffy. That's the type of hype I need right now, Matt. Thank you so much. I don't consider myself the GOAT. You know, I'm always going to say that the guys that get paid to do this for a living, right? The Daniel Ahmeds, the Matt Piscatellas, even the Michael Pachters. These guys are getting paid to do it. I am not, so I'm going to always put them above me, because if they're getting paid to do it and I'm not, they must be doing something right, and they must be smarter than me at it. So I don't consider myself the GOAT, but I appreciate the hype. I think I'm pretty good at it for just like a regular dude, right? I've had 0 training on this. I've had 0 classes. I'm just the guy that watches this stuff. So I am proud of what I've done. Don't think I'm the GOAT, but you're hyping me up. Thank you so much, Matt. You freaking rock. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that super chat. Just made my day. All right. All right. Thank you so much, man. Benji, there were rumors of huge announcements possibly. New Sony acquisitions. Was this true? All I will say, Benji, about this, there were rumors a-flying. They were a-flying. And there's a reason. I've said this a bunch of freaking times. And unfortunately, I feel bad for Greg Miller because he's now experiencing this. Big fan of Greg. I love Greg. So this isn't like an anti-Greg Miller thing. He's finding out the repercussions of potentially getting bad info and even if you trust it and going out there with it, right? He's under a lot of fire right now from people because of his tweet about the 3 rumors. All I can say, Benji, yes, there were rumors flying. I'm not going to name the studio names. One in particular was flying around the rumor mill that they were getting acquired by Sony. This is why I don't tweet out anything about rumors. I hear rumors almost daily from people, right? I say it all the time. I'm not Mr. Famous or anything, but I have 40,000 followers and I'm very connected in the gaming industry, right? All you have to do is look at who follows me. I'm very connected in the industry. I hear rumors all the friggin' time and I don't talk about most of them because a lot of them don't end up being true. It appears that was the case here, and I feel sorry for poor Greg because I'm sure he trusted this info when he went out there with it. No, to be clear, Greg didn't say it was an acquisition. Greg said that there was 3 big rumors. I can tell you one of the rumors that was flying around, if this is one of the ones Greg was talking about, was that Sony was about to announce a major acquisition. A particular studio was being rumored. This is why I don't tweet this stuff, man. Because a lot of this ends up being BS. A lot. I have huge respect for people like Jeff Grubb and like Jason Schreier, who take a lot of time and are able to sift through and find out what's 100% legit and what's 100% not. Because a lot of this stuff gets spread around, dude, all the time. I've mentioned it here before. I had a PlayStation employee who will remain unnamed. They work at PlayStation, and they gave me info that was 1,000% incorrect. I don't know if that was malicious or if it was just simply a mistake, but it happens. Even from sources that you think are reliable, it could be malicious. Someone could maybe have a problem with you, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to give this guy wrong info. You never know, right? So that's why you got to be very careful with this stuff. So I feel for poor Greg. But yes, Benji, one of the rumors was that there was a huge acquisition from a particular company. Sony with a particular company. It does not appear that was true, though. But it was flying around the rumor mill, yes. Venom Harness. Also regarding Horizon 3 and Spider-Man 3, you see them releasing in 2026 and 2027. Ooh, good question. Spider-Man 3 could be a PS6 launch title. Well, let's think. Horizon came out early 2022. So, yeah, that'll be 4 years. 2026. That sounds about right. 5 years at the latest. But I think they can get it out in 4 years without a pandemic, right? Pandemic clearly had an impact on Forbidden West's development cycle. So, yeah, Horizon 3 in 2026 sounds about right. And Spider-Man, assuming that it's next year, making out Spider-Man 3 making it in 2027 sounds about right. Yeah, I agree, Venom. Sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right. About 4 years for each of those sequels sounds about right. Red Dead series. Do you think PlayStation will add more retro games to the service? I hope so, because retro games are what I'm interested in. And here we go. Here's the flip side of what I was talking about earlier, right? Earlier, I was saying, to me, the least attractive tier is the retro tier, but then you have people like Red Dead series that's what they are interested in, right? So like I was saying earlier, I don't think that no one's going to subscribe to the retro tier. I do think just the price for it is the least attractive overall, with retro being the main selling point. But clearly there are people like Red Dead series here that's what they want. They want that retro stuff. Red Dead, it's possible they will always add more. To me, the big thing, Red Dead, if in the long run they want this to be really attractive, I think they need to find some ways to improve those games. It could be something as simple as trophy support. I think that would help to some degree. Even cooler would be resolution boosts or frame rate increases. But I think just doing something a little more with these games would make it even better. But yeah, we'll see. I do expect them to add more stuff over time, though. Yeah, I would think so. Ghost Tunnels. Hi, why do you think Microsoft choose to make Activision titles multi-platform? Meanwhile, they made Bethesda titles exclusive. Does it have to do with the FTC demanding to stay multi-platform? Ghost, I think that's part of it, and I think another part is that I think they probably weighed the pros and cons about Call of Duty, and they were like, man, Call of Duty just makes so much money being cross-system that we might as well keep it there. Another thing to remember, Ghost Tunnels, and I say this because a lot of times people forget, Microsoft did not say every Activision title is going to be multi-platform. You know, kind of like the Jim Ryan thing where he didn't say that there will never be games day one on a service. He said why there's not going to be right now. Same thing with Activision. Microsoft didn't flat out say, you know, every game that Activision ever makes is going to say multi-platform. They said games like Call of Duty and other beloved Activision franchises. That can be whatever they want it to be. Beloved franchises could mean whatever they want. It could mean that Overwatch is a beloved franchise that stays multi-platform, which I think it will. It could mean, you know, Diablo, which I think it will. Right? It can mean whatever they want. But I absolutely think there's going to be exclusive games from Activision and Blizzard as well. Like, absolutely. That new Blizzard IP that's in the works, I'm like 99% sure that'll be exclusive because it's not a beloved franchise. It's a brand new franchise. I think the main thing Activision was trying to communicate here was essentially that Call of Duty is remaining multi-platform. Like, I think that was the main thing. Obviously, they said and Blizzard. So I think that's also, of course, going to mean Overwatch 2, which we know has been in development from the beginning as a multi-platform game. Totally makes sense to keep that multi-platform. So I think the main reasons are they're like, hey, these franchises are already multi-platform. They're already so online focused, which is another key thing to keep in mind. The Bethesda titles are not traditionally, right? The only big two that were like a big online games were Elder Scrolls Online, which stayed multi-platform, and Fallout 76. But most of Bethesda's output were single-player games, right? They were Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Skyrim, you know, Wolfenstein even, Ghostwire Tokyo, which just came out single player. Like, most Bethesda games are single player. So, whereas Activision makes a lot of online games. So, they're all a little bit different. Those are some reasons, I think. But make no mistake, Ghost Tunnels, there will be some exclusive stuff out of this deal. There's just no doubt. There's no doubt. They didn't say every game. They just said the beloved franchises, which can mean anything they want it to mean. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss a super chat. I don't think I have. Don't think so, but part of me... yeah, no, I did not. Jeremy G saying happy Thursday, everyone. Happy Thursday to you, Jeremy. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for spending some time with us. Jose Contreras. Hi guys, click the like button. I will appreciate the likes. I never spam out for that stuff. We're an hour into the chat and I'm just now mentioning it. But if you like doing these chats, hit the like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps people find my channel. MW, what's your thoughts on Greg Miller's 3 rumor story? I just commented on it. Like I said, I feel for you, Greg. This is the risk, though, when you go public with this stuff. I cannot emphasize for you guys enough how much fake stuff gets spread around heavily. So it's all over the place. It's all over the place. A lot of real stuff, too. It's just that's the risk you're always running when you go public with these rumor mill stuff. God, be careful. And like I said, I feel for Greg. I'm a big Greg fan. I don't think he did this for any like malicious reason or anything. I think he really heard something he thought was legit. And like I said, sometimes can't trust it. Gabrielle, no emulation for PS3 is sad. It's a bummer. I wish that those games would be able to be native, that you could install and download the PS3 games. It's a huge bummer, Gabrielle. I agree. It's a bummer. At least you can access them streaming, but it is a bummer. I wish you could install those. Johnny G22, what's good, Benji? What is up, man? Hope you're doing good, Johnny G. Jose Contreras, what's the sales numbers for The Last of Us 2? Kind of went dead after the 4 million sold. Unfortunately, Jose, no one knows. No one knows but Naughty Dog and Sony. And to be honest, this is another weird thing that people don't always know. Naughty Dog themselves might not even know, to be honest with you. A lot of times the devs themselves don't know how much their games have sold. I've mentioned this before on the chat. I have had devs DM me after I tweet a number and be like, dude, thanks for putting that out. I had no idea the game sold that much. A lot of devs have no idea how much their game sold. A lot of them know how many total players they've had because there's a pretty easy way to track that, especially if your game connects online in any way, right? You can look at that sort of information, but like how many you've actually sold, a lot of devs have no idea. So Naughty Dog themselves might know. It is possible. I think they probably definitely know how many people have played The Last of Us Part 2, but the only one who probably knows 1,000% for sure the exact units it sold is Sony. Sony themselves, right? So, which I know Naughty Dog's part of Sony, but I'm talking about like upper management within PlayStation. They will have known how many it sold. But we never got another number, so it's impossible to tell. Literally impossible. Who knows? Could be anything. Ooh, first timer. I love seeing these first timers. Carnage Ghost 2 VS. First time. I hope you answer my questions. Of course. Why do you think PS3 native backwards compatibility isn't added yet? Can fans outcry change Sony plans? I hate to say it, Carnage Ghost, but I think it's just that cell processor. As we all know, I wish it was there as well. Carnage, I don't think this was like anything done with Sony where they're like, we're going to give you where you can download all these games but PlayStation 3 just because. I think there's definitely a technical reason behind it. They clearly are just still having issues emulating the PS3 even on the PS5 hardware. Could it change eventually? I actually don't think that's impossible. Sony engineers might continue messing with this stuff and eventually get a very stable PS3 emulation on PS5. That could end up happening. It's not impossible, so that could happen down the road. But the reason it's not happening, I'm pretty sure is that. I'm pretty sure they're just having issues getting an emulator for PS3 running well on PS5, right? Probably just can't get a super stable one. Because if you're going to do this, you want it to be really stable. You're not going to want to release an emulator that's like all over the place. So they're probably just still having issues. JCat saying hi. What is up, JCat? Good to see ya. All right, we're going to go for about 10 more minutes and I'm going to bounce. About 10 more minutes. Let me hit, I think we had a super chat. Let me hit this super chat. 2 super chats coming in here at the end. Thank you so much, guys. Samshwar Chatterjee, I hope I said your name correct, with a 10. No question. I just wanted to show my support. I love your show and all your industry insights. Thank you so much. It's incredibly kind. Thank you for that 10 super chat. I talk about it all the time. I consider myself very lucky that I have a decent sized following. Not my YouTube. My YouTube's still pretty small, but I was talking about this with Split End, actually. That's one, don't get me wrong, I wish I had a huge YouTube with 100,000 subscribers and all that, right? I think anyone that makes content, you want the more people to see it, the merrier. But one thing that's really kind of nice about my YouTube not being huge, right? Being this like core small group, is we don't have many trolls and mean people, right? Not a whole lot. Like occasionally one slips through, but to be honest, most of the time, by YouTube standards, you've all been on YouTube, by YouTube standards, my chat is really good, really well informed. So that's one, nice part about the YouTube channel not being giant. But even on my Twitter, which is pretty big by Twitter standards, not giant, but pretty big by Twitter standards, even that for the most part, pretty nice. So thank you so much, Sham Shwar. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the kind words. And I'm glad you enjoy the show and the insights. I do the best I can. Highlander001 with a 5 super chat coming in here towards the end. Thank you so much, Highlander. Always in chat. Benji got here late. Thoughts on Microsoft family plan for Game Pass? Are you going to do more streams soon, going on other podcasts? Highlander, thank you so much. Great questions. Talked about the family plan a little bit earlier. It's a great move by Microsoft. Most of the major players offer this, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Disney Plus. It's just a way to be even more attractive for subscribers. This was long overdue. From Jez's article, it sounded like the main sticking point wasn't that Microsoft didn't want to do this. He said it's something they've wanted to do for a long time, but part of the issue was how they were going to like pay out royalties and stuff like that, right? Because a lot of the way devs get money off of Game Pass, obviously a lot of times there's like a bulk sum payment or whatever, but they also get royalties based off of, maybe how much a game is played, how, like total playing hours on Game Pass. All these kinds of things can go towards additional payouts. If your game's doing great on Game Pass, you're going to get even more money. And Jez's article said they were, figuring out exactly how those royalties are going to work with family plans. It has been part of the sticking point. So great that they're doing this. Long overdue. Very glad to hear they've been able to work it out. And I think it's a good thing. It'll help Game Pass subscribers in the long run. Having it be where like 4 people in the same household all have to have their own account that they're paying for, that's a little tough, right? Especially with families with like kids, right? If you've got like, let's say you're an adult and you've got like a 12 or 13-year-old that also wants to play, having to get a Game Pass sub for them and then for yourself and then for your other kid. Yeah, it's just a huge headache. So good, smart move. Am I going to do more streams? The goal is always to increase my output on YouTube. It's just such a struggle for me with timing. And that's also going into your other question about, am I going to be on other podcasts? This is not an exaggeration. Not an exaggeration. I probably have 50 podcasts right now in my inbox on Twitter that all want me to be on their show. And I'm not saying this in terms of like, oh, look how cool I am. I'm not at all, because it's actually the opposite. Look at how many podcasts you've seen me on recently. It's not many, right? I do a podcast every once in a while, and it's the same issue that it is with my YouTube. It's so hard for me with my retail schedule to work out when the freaking heck to show up on stuff. Most of the time I'm working, literally 90% of my working hours, like I'm about to leave for work. Today I work 2:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Like most days that I'm working evenings and weekends, and that's when most people are filming podcasts. So it's a massive challenge for me to get on other people's podcasts. The reason you're not seeing me has nothing to do with people not wanting me. Like I said, I have probably 50 podcasts, including some very big ones that you've heard of that want me on there. It's just a freaking challenge to work this stuff out. So I hope, Highlander, I hope to get more content up. I hope to get more podcast stuff up. The retail schedule, though, is a nightmare for scheduling this stuff. It's a nightmare. All right. And then Frostbite Slash coming in here with a 20. Wow, that's huge. Thank you, Frostbite. That's incredibly kind. When will the Bungie acquisition close? As a massive fan of Destiny with thousands of hours logged, I'm so excited to see where they go with a bigger budget and more resources. I can't always make these shows, but keep up the good work. Well, Frostbite, thank you so much. Say it all the time. No problem at all not being able to make it to all the shows, right? I stream at random times on random days. I've at least, I can say, consistently now gotten the time down. If you guys notice, I don't know what time zone you're all in, but usually at my time zone, it's usually right around 12:15, 12:20 p.m. my time. So at the very least, I've gotten the time pretty consistent now, but the days is not. So I understand why people miss all the time. Perfectly understandable. When's the Bungie acquisition going to close? I believe fairly soon. Bungie is privately held, which makes it way easier to get this done rapidly than a publicly owned and traded company. There's a way more headaches that go through for that because all the investors got to get paid, and you got to work out how all that's going to get done. So getting a privately held company is way easier because you're essentially just paying out the people that own it. Now, of course, there's going to be way more than that involved. I'm simplifying things massively, but it's a lot easier to pay how many people own Bungie, like fully own it. Are we going to say maybe a dozen, maybe 24 max, right? It's not the same thing as hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shareholders and working all of that out and all of the legal stuff with that. Still some with a privately held company, but a lot easier. So it'll get done somewhat soon. We don't have an exact date. Sony didn't give an exact time frame, like I don't believe, at least, like an exact month they were anticipating this. Frostbite, I would say in the next few months, it should definitely be done. It's not going to drag out past this year. You know, it's not something like Activision, which is a giant publisher. It's going to take probably like almost a full freaking year to lock down. This will be much faster. So sometime in the next few months. And yeah, Bungie getting even bigger budget, and which we know they're going to, and more marketing resources should be great for them. I agree, Frostbite. I'm looking forward to what they do next. Okay, I'm going to just grab like 5 more minutes of questions and I got to go. So I'm going to rapid fire 5 more minutes and I got to bounce. Sounds PP7. Benji, there was no mention of PS Vita. Most of the games work perfectly fine on PS TV with a controller, so it seems weird to exclude it. Has Sony already forgotten that it ever existed? Sounds PP7, it is weird because Vita is like the current only major Sony platform missing here. I think it'll probably come eventually, Silence. It would seem weird, right? I think we can agree it'd be weird to have like every single platform covered but Vita. I think it'll probably come eventually, Silence. Maybe they're just still working some stuff out on it. So who knows? I won't be shocked, though, if you see that get added on at a later date. Wouldn't shock me because it is strange. It is strange it's the only one missing. A lot of people asking about the family plan. Mentioned that. People asked about Greg's stuff. Yep, we talked about that. DB will rise. Benji, after watching Dune, I was so stoked that I binge read all the 5 main books. In my opinion, if done right, Dune could be the next multimedia behemoth franchise like Lord of the Rings, Witcher, Harry Potter, etc. Thoughts? DB will rise. Dune was one of the most impressive movies I have seen in recent years. Dune blew my freaking mind. Wow, was that good. And to be honest, I had never read the books. Didn't even have a whole lot of interest in the books beforehand. But DB, after seeing how freaking good that movie was, I agree, DB. I agree. If the sequel's as good as the first one was, this thing will become a behemoth. Yeah, they're going to pump out multiple Dune movies. And we already know there's like a Dune strategy game on the way. Who knows? Maybe we'll even see like a AAA Dune game eventually. Not impossible, especially with the way licensed games right now are in demand. PS Rewind saying, what's up? Trunks saying, what's up? What is up? Rewind, what's up? Trunks. Samir, hi from India. What is up to India? JCat says they don't believe Square Enix is getting acquired because one family, the Fukushima family, has the largest stake in the company. It's a family-run business. JCat, I completely think that you're totally fair in believing that. Like I said, if I had to bet on if it's going to happen, I would bet no. They just seem like a publisher that like financially is in the position like alongside Ubisoft to be most attractive for acquisition. But JCat, I agree. If I had to bet, I would bet no. And that is a good call out. That's a good call out on the Fukushima family. It's a great call out. King Levy, how far do you think Elden Ring will hold the #1 spot on Steam? Definitely it will hold it this coming week. So that will put it at 6 freaking weeks as the best selling game on Steam. Wow. 6 consecutive weeks at #1. The legs on Elden Ring are some of the most impressive I have ever seen. I'm not kidding. The legs are unbelievable. Especially in the West. Japan, it's actually holding pretty decent too for a PlayStation game. I noticed that. The PS4 version physical just passed, I believe, 300,000 units this week. So in Japan, it's holding pretty good. In the West, it seems to be holding unbelievably well. So it definitely is going to get 6 weeks. This week for sure is a lock. Is next week Lego? Because I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised at how well Lego's doing on the Steam charts. Speaking of Lego, let me see. Is that next week? Or is that this week? Either way, I think Elden Ring will have too many days up at #1. Let me see. Because Elden Ring's #1 right friggin' now. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, wow, and Lego fell down. It was really high up. But it's still kind of up there. For sure, it's going to hold this week, and it might even last longer. No matter what, it's getting 6 weeks, maybe 7 or 8. We'll have to see, but it's unbelievable. If it can make 8 weeks, 2 straight months at #1, bruh. Wow. Jeremy's pointing out what we were talking about earlier. Bunch of Series X stock also just dropped on Amazon today too. It's crazy. I don't know what Microsoft did to get this Series X shipments they got this month, but they're insane. At every retailer just about. It's crazy. It's the end of the quarter, so clearly they went ham on the end of the quarter, but my only guess here is they paid a lot of money to guarantee a ton of chips for the quarter end, because it's nuts what's happening with Series X. I don't know how they did it. J-Cat's pointing out some more stuff about Square Enix, about them not being in the red and stuff. Yeah, I don't think anyone said they're in the red. Nope. Yeah, and they do manga and book stuff. Yep. But somebody may have said something I missed. Yeah, Michael, you. Supposedly Sony is only able to manufacture 2 million PS5s this quarter. Xbox has been stocked quite frequently in multiple retailers. Yep, we've talked about this a lot. Yep. Sony, hey, dude, this quarter was a disaster for them in manufacturing. PlayStation 5 worldwide is now falling behind PlayStation 4. They've got to have a better next quarter. They have to. They have to. I'm very curious. We're going to find out soon, right? Not too long, because this quarter is almost over. Literally today. Today's the end of the quarter. We're going to find out soon. I'm very curious what they forecast next quarter. It has got to be better. If it's like it was this past quarter, wow, scary. To be honest, actually scary. Actually scary stuff. Masio, who do you think was at fault for the disaster that was Babylon's Fall? Square Enix or Platinum? Keep up the great work, man. Hard to know. Here's the thing. I'm going to guess, and this is without inside knowledge on this particular game, I'm going to say a bit of both. It doesn't look to me like Square Enix gave this game much of a budget, just looking at it. Because them being the publisher, I'm sure that they funded most of the development of this game, if not all. Babylon's Fall looks like its budget was very bad. I mean, you can look at the game. Don't look like much money went into Babylon's Fall. So it could possibly be argued that Square Enix should have upped the budget on that one. That maybe they were a little too tight on the budget. We don't know for sure, but it does slightly appear that way. And then Platinum absolutely as well. There has been rumblings and reports about Platinum from time to time behind the scenes on some of their development. And you can probably see in the proof of some of the games they've developed. That's all I'll say on that one. Very talented at Time Studio, but also I won't go into it more. But yeah, those I would say that game in particular is probably a bit of both. Probably a bit of both. All right. I'm going to grab two more questions. Two more questions and I'm out. All right. Split End, you're easily better than Pactor. No. Listen, Pactor is a lot better than me at like actual like reports. I will say on predictions specifically, this isn't a lock. He could be way better than me. I would say specifically at predictions, I may be a bit better than Pactor. Maybe. I'm not for sure, but maybe. But in terms of like actually writing up financial analysis, like full-on reports and stuff, which Pactor does a lot of, trust me, Pactor's way more advanced than me at that. At like saying, I think this game's going to sell this many units, I might be a bit better than Pactor, to be honest, on that one. That's not shade. That's not shade. I might be a little bit better than Pactor at that. But at the job that it entails, because that's a small part of what Pactor does. Pactor does a whole bunch of other stuff. That's just something that he mostly... The public predictions are mostly just for fun for him. The other stuff, like the hardcore analysis, reporting stuff, trust me, he's better than me at it. He's been doing it his whole life, right? I've done it 0% of my life because I still don't do it. All right. Red Dead. Clearly Sony is teasing Konami. No, that's actually not the one. It's actually not the one. It's not Konami. There was another one. Benji, imagine you are in charge of choosing the next Star Wars director and you have shortlists. Denis Villeneuve, Christopher Nolan, oh my God. Or James Cameron, oh my God. Who are you going for? Oh my God, this is hard. My God. All three of them could do potentially incredible. Here's one thing I'll say. This may sound controversial because actually I prefer Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan's movies over James Cameron. I actually do. I like both of their movies for the most part more than James Cameron. But Cameron might actually be the best choice of those three specifically for Star Wars because Denis Villeneuve and Christopher Nolan's movies are so mostly humorless and very intense and serious. Which, don't get me wrong, I love that. I literally love both of their movies. In fact, I like their franchises more than James Cameron. But Cameron might strike a better balance than those two at Star Wars specifically. Because while Star Wars has very intense and very serious moments, there's also some levity in Star Wars. James Cameron, like we've seen with some of the stuff he's done with Avatar, with like the brightness and like the beautifulness and not so like intense all the time, which is what Nolan and Denis do. Of the three, specifically for Star Wars, if we're talking like an overall Star Wars movie, not like something hyper focused on like just the Sith, like a spin-off series or something, Cameron might be the best choice of those three actually. Just because I feel like his movies have a little bit more range to play with the type of stuff Star Wars does than Denis and Christopher, but all three could deliver something pretty incredible. All right, one more game question and I'm out. I literally have to go. I got to go to work. Got to go. John Wolf, I'm not going to count this. It's just a kind comment. Good afternoon, Benji. Just subscribed, brother. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for the subscription to the YouTube. Good luck on growing the channel. If you ever want to come on my podcast, it'll be an honor, brother. John, I will do my best. Like I said, I'm going to try to really work some stuff out with a few podcasts here soon because a lot of people want me on and I really want to do it. So, John, I'll let you know. All right, one more gaming question. I have to go. I think I almost hit all the questions this week. Holy cow, I'm glad. Wow, I like didn't miss much of anything. I missed a super chat. Split End said, yes. Here we go. Frostbite Slash. Frostbite gets the last one. Thank you for pointing that out, Split End. I did miss that. Oh, and RRD. I'm gonna hit this one and then Frostbite and then we're out. Benji, you got to get back on Iron Lord's podcast. That's where I discovered you and them. RRD, I'd love to. I can honestly say out of every podcast I've been on, Iron Lords is up there with the most fun. Those dudes are a blast, like honestly. Like in terms of just pure fun, dude, Iron Lords podcast is a very fun podcast. I've never been asked back on RRD. They never asked me back. And listen, they have tons of guests, so I'm sure there's a hardcore reason for that. They don't got to make time for me. But I had a blast there. I was on 2 Iron Lord podcasts pretty close together, but they've never asked me back on since then. So if they ever ask me back on Iron Lord's podcast, I'd love to go back on. Great dudes. They're super fun, like hilarious. Dude, you will laugh your butt off that whole one you're on. But yeah, I'll try RRD, but no promises. They haven't asked me. So if they do, I will get back on. If we can work out a date. Frostbite Slasher gets the last one, though. A 5 from Frostbite. Not sure if you heard the news that just broke, but E3 2022 is officially canceled. Can't say this is a surprise, Frostbite. As somebody that, grew up on E3, it's a huge bummer. I've talked about this before. E3 to me has always been like such a almost holiday in the summer for me. Back whenever I was in school and I would watch E3, I would always skip school those days just to watch it. I don't encourage people that are still in school to do that. Go to your classes. But me, I would literally skip school those days just so I could watch I'd just call in sick. I'm so sick for a few days just to watch E3. Then once I got older and I was in work, I would always take time off of work to watch E3. And here's the biggest bummer on a personal level, Frostbite. I literally could have covered E3 this year or last year if they would have existed. I have it on pretty good authority. I would have been offered a press badge. So it's a huge bummer. It's a pretty huge bummer that they got canceled because finally I would have been able to live the dream of attending an E3 and covering it as press. But it died right whenever I got the opportunity to. So on a personal level, it sucks. I would have loved to go to E3. But seems to be over, and I don't know that we'll ever see E3 itself as we knew it in the past ever come back. We've talked about that before. I think the pandemic was kind of the end of it. It showed a lot of publishers they don't necessarily need E3. They don't have to spend all the kind of money that they do to have those huge E3 showcases. So much can just be done online now. But it's a bummer. I hope the industry finds some sort of way to have get-togethers. But right now, it seems like E3's over. Bummer. Feel for it. I would have loved to cover it in person, but we'll still get some stuff. But yeah, sounds like E3's over. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you for a great chat. Loved it. Had so much fun. Literally love doing these live chats every single week. We'll be back next week. These are one of my favorite things that I do. Subscribe to my channel if you are not already. Click the like button if you like doing these chats. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps people find my channel. Follow me on Twitter. If you follow me here, you more than likely follow me there since my Twitter is so much bigger than my YouTube. But in the off chance that you aren't a Twitter follower, hit me up on Twitter. I'm Benji-Sales. All right, everyone, stay safe. Play some games. I'll catch you next week here on YouTube. We will be back. Or I will see you on Twitter if you follow me there. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you later. Have a great day, evening, whatever, wherever you are. See you. Bye. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.